On this episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, I welcome back Sauk-Prairie Varsity Boys basketball coach Sean McGann to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. In part 2 of our 5-part series, we go behind the scenes with Coach McGann as the season begins to test his team and his leadership. After 3 straight wins, the Eagles face their first loss, then battle through 2 emotional overtime games filled with highs and lows and hard lessons. Hear how Coach McGann navigates the ups and downs with his players as they head into winter break. This will be a good one. Here we go.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is up wherever you are, whatever you are doing? I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Tim Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios just west of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin in Prairie du Sac. Are we in Prairie du Sac?
Yeah, this is Prairie. Middle school over there is Sauk City. This is Prairie du Sac.
Oh, really? We're kind of right on the dividing line a little
Correct.
bit. Okay. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, and a bunch of different places that I haven't heard of, but people tell me. At Survive and Thrive 8791. You can follow the podcast and get access to previous episodes on Facebook and Twitter and wherever at Survive and Thrive 8791, the podcast. Don't forget to hit that follow button wherever you listen to the show. Leave me a comment if you liked what you heard. If there's a topic or a guest who would love to share their story, email me at tdecora@gmail.com. Glad you could join us. Our mission is to share stories and conversations that make you cry, laugh, and think, stimulating emotions, creating laughter, and inspiring the mind. A new episode will air on Monday and Thursday morning featuring a wide range of guests. The podcast will touch on many subjects such as, but not limited to, grief, loss of a loved one, recovery, professional setback, mental illness, success despite challenges, etc. Our guests will share how they learn to survive and thrive. Website reminder before I introduce our guest, I'd like to highlight our website, surviveandthrive8791.com. You can see what we are doing at Survive and Thrive 8791 and the events we are hosting. If you're a business or an advocate for mental health and recovery, we invite you to partner with us through sponsorship opportunities. Please contact us at surviveandthrive8791@gmail.com. And according to the internet, and we're going to get into introducing our guest here, an episode intro, and the internet is always right or still right, correct?
Still, yep.
Okay. And again, just a consistent reminder that I don't need any of that stuff. I got my wife and she's always right. You too?
Correct. Yeah. It'll never change.
It'll never change. Well, according to an AI, artificial intelligence overview, high school basketball coaches face significant stress due to demanding schedules, pressure to win, managing player and parent expectations, and for some, especially in Coach McGann's case, full teaching load, which can lead to burnout and exhaustion. Stressors include long hours of practices, games, and film study, dealing with difficult parents, and the emotional toll of making cuts or managing playing time in addition to teaching. Sources also mention financial concerns and the stress of maintaining a healthy work-life balance. And I know Coach McGann's probably not doing it for the money, but it helps, but just for the love of the game. So today I welcome back Sauk-Prairie head boys basketball coach Sean McGann to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. This is part 2 of a 5-part series where we follow Coach McGann and get a behind-scenes look into the life of a high school basketball coach. Sean grew up in Baraboo, just down the street, and attended Baraboo High School as a proud Thunderbird. After high school, he would take his talents to the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, and join the Pointer men's basketball team. Sean was a member of the 2015 Division III National Championship basketball team, and graduated with a degree in physical education and health. He is a teacher and boys basketball coach at Sauk-Prairie High School. Today, I'm so glad you could join us. Sean McGann, Coach McGann, what is up?
Let's run it back, man. We had a lot of awesome interaction with episode 1. Had a lot of people reach out and said that they are looking forward to this next episode. So I'm excited and glad we're able to make it work.
How does it feel to be on winter break? This is my second winter break. Mm-hmm. As a retired teacher, and it somehow still I looked forward to yesterday because we're off. The pressure's off for a little bit.
Yeah, it's we got 2 weeks off, and my wife is also an educator, so it's awesome to be able to have that time together.
Praise the Lord.
Yes, yeah. I know. And every time, whether it's winter break or spring break or summer vacation, I always, right when we get home, I tell my wife, I say, close your eyes and just like embrace right now, because before we know it, it's going to be, we're back to the grind. But no, it's awesome. It's really nice for us to have a little break in the basketball season too. So I gave our guys off a full week, and so we'll practice next Friday, and it's the longest break I've ever given kids. But I just like now, even having a family of my own, I just like realize how important that time is. So
yeah, I imagine, and I don't know, but there's probably some schools that are in Monday. I was just with a buddy of mine from Watoma, and their kids are off yesterday, but their teaching staff has to come back for half a day on Monday. I imagine there's probably some schools that are making their kids come in Monday and Tuesday. But yeah, I mean, having still working in the Waunakee School District, I think it's the longest break of all time.
Yeah.
We've never had 2 weeks off.
I think we get this, like, I want to say 1 every 7 years. Like, it doesn't happen where the calendar lines up this way. So yeah, we're lucky. We're going to embrace it and enjoy our time at home.
Absolutely. So besides basketball, what else do you look forward to over the winter break?
Yeah, just like spending time with my family, spending time with my wife's family, with our holidays. Obviously, having a 6 month, our son will be 6 months old on Christmas, so that'll obviously be his first Christmas. So we're really excited to start our own traditions with things like that. We were even talking about like, what do we want Christmas morning to look like, and just kind of set those traditions for the rest of as long as he's at our house. And so yeah, we're excited about that. Honestly, just watching a lot of Christmas movies, not thinking about basketball. I know that that's really hard for me to do, but really trying to, again, turn it off when I'm at home. And honestly, just like relax, like try to catch up on sleep as best we can, because we're not getting a lot of it right now with our kiddo. But yeah, just spending time with them.
For all of you first-time parents out there, and maybe young parents, there's a little advice that I would give, that when your child sleeps, you sleep, and when they're up, then you got to be up. Don't be sleeping through while they're up. Yeah. But sleep when they sleep and get up when they get up, and that's good stuff. Let's back up for a second, because I have some questions of the day that I pop up on my social media feeds now. And question of the day a couple of days ago was, if what's your favorite go-to holiday Christmas movie that you could watch on repeat over and over and over?
So it's funny that you have the question of the day, because that's how I start every one of my classes.
I hope you started with Coach Decora's question of the day.
I think you copied me. But no, I've been seeing them. Weirdly enough, this morning Home Alone was on, so we always like watching Home Alone. But I'm, in my opinion, the GOAT of all Christmas movies is Jim Carrey's version of The Grinch. I just can't go wrong. It's every time you watch it, it is funny. So that's, in my opinion, the best one of all time.
Okay, I go with the It's a Wonderful Life. I could have that on repeat. Okay. It's old school. Yep, and then that's fair. Question of the day number 2, which will actually be the question of the day once I get into my vehicle and run that out on social media, is, if you had to listen to a holiday song on repeat, a Christmas holiday song on repeat for the rest of your life, what song would that be?
Easy.
No.
It's not called Easy. This is an easy choice. Santa Tell Me, Ariana Grande.
Santa Tell Me, Ariana Grande.
I need to look. I'm almost positive that's what it's called. It's probably going to be at the top of my playlist.
Actually, we can probably have you put that on play. Just run her in the background a little bit.
Yeah, Santa Tell Me. This is the best one. It's not close.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I love Ariana's great, and my wife loves her too.
She's a great singer, a great performer, and she's pretty soft on the eyes.
I'm not going to say that.
I hate to say that, but my go-to song, if I had to listen over and over, Mali Kaliki Maka.
Ooh.
Kind of gives me some pleasant thoughts. Yeah. Palm trees swaying. Yeah, so.
I like that one too. Good choices by both of us, I think.
Yes, absolutely. High five.
Yeah.
All right, before we get to your story and the season, I need to talk about our sponsor. Our sponsor, Buck and Honey's restaurants, are a place that people can escape to. For me, it's a great escape from cooking dinner. And the last time we had you in, we asked you about your cuisine and cooking, and you kind of, gave it up to the wife because she does a lot of the cooking. But are you doing any kind of baking or whatnot over the holidays here?
We don't bake. Yeah, we don't. But my Aunt Carrie, she could enter a contest and win with like how precise her Christmas cookies are. Like, it's seriously incredible, the attention to detail that she has. I wish I had an example that I could just like pull up on the screen, but yeah, they're amazing. But no, we don't really bake at the McGann household too much.
Well, we might have to give some props to your Aunt Carrie and maybe take a picture and put that in the promo.
Yeah.
Precise. All right, with their great food and drink menu, 5-star customer service, and a welcoming and vibrant atmosphere, people keep coming back. With locations in Sun Prairie, Monona, Waunakee, and Mount Horeb, most communities in Dane County, which encompasses the Madison metropolitan area, can get to a Buck and Honey's within 10 to 15 minutes. On the podcast, our guests follow the format for sharing their story like this. In segment 1, we're going to be talking about the beginning of the season at Sauk-Prairie High School and what it's like and what has happened up to this point. And in segment 2, we continue to talk about what has happened and get into what it's like as we enter the winter break of the basketball season. And then we'll discuss or revisit Coach McGann's 5 suggestions for thriving during the season. So segment 1, what was it like before the season, and what has happened up to this point? The Sauk-Prairie boys basketball team is currently sitting at 4-2, 4 wins and 2 losses. You started the season with 3 straight wins. Is that what you expected, to be 3-0?
It's terrible. Like, early in my career, I used to, this is so bad. I used to like look and be like, okay, we can win that one. Oh, that'll be tough. And I've really tried to just like take it one game at a time. I know that that's like the most cliche coach talk ever, but I really try to do that. But it's also hard at the same time because it's not like football where you play, Friday. Like, you have a game Tuesday and then you have to be ready for a game Thursday. So there are times where you kind of do have to look ahead and like getting film and preparing things and stuff like that. But I knew that we had a really tough start to the year. We play some really, really good teams, and we are going to continue with that into the month of January too. But I don't really know what I expected. I think I had even mentioned on episode 1 that this is like the least I kind of like had a good idea of what my team was going to be, just because, with the birth of our son this summer, I was not at nearly as many things as I have been. But I mean, I think this is just credit to like our staff that like they can keep the train rolling while I'm gone, and obviously it's helped us perform pretty solid in our first 6 games. So yeah, we're officially a quarter of the way through the season, and we're just really looking forward to just keep building on what we've established. Yeah,
let's talk about that for a second, because I think that's maybe unique for new younger coaches. And when I say new younger, you got 7 years in, and 7 is probably different than the first or second year.
Way different.
Where you're giving up control of, you're putting your assistants at the wheel while you maybe go down below at the bottom of the deck of the boat, and you're taking care of family and the important stuff, and then you can give them the controls. What if there's any young guys listening out there, or maybe coaches that can't give up the control of the ship and let some other things suffer? How have you done that?
Yeah, I would say that was a really big weakness of my coaching early in my career, is because I'm so new, I want to know how everything works. So I was really bad at delegating. Like, I put way too much on my plate. And now, like, I've hired these coaches. Like, I know that they're really, really solid quality coaches, and I trust them. And so I want them to be able to do that. And it's good for our guys to hear a different voice too. And then a perfect example of this would be on Thursday, we were supposed to play at Edgewood. We got canceled. And in my opinion, the weakest cancellation of all. But no,
one of the ones of all time.
Well, they made the right decision with the information that they had. So on that Thursday night, I told our guys, hey, we're going to cancel JV2 practice, because we had to share a gym with the girls. Obviously, we have 2 gyms here at the high school. And I told our varsity guys, hey, we'll do a 45-minute optional shooting practice. And one of our captains with a few other kids came forward and said, hey, we've all agreed we want to be there. We want to work on half court offense. We know it's a weakness of maybe our team right now. That was kind of what Monroe made us do, playing the half court. And I said, love it. I said, here, why don't you just go ahead and create the practice plan and we'll run it. So I would have never, ever done that in my first few years coaching. But now, like, I think it's good for my players to have ownership. Like, this is very much a player-led team. Like, they are very connected. And we just kind of did like I always do kind of do like an audit at like the quarter mark, halfway mark, and 3/4 mark with our captains. And all of them said this is the most connected group that they've ever been a part of in any of their sports. So yeah, just giving up that control, I think can have a lot of positives. Was it the best practice in the world? No, but like, you know, for him to go in and experience that and kind of like lead, and I thought that was just really good. And for the guys to kind of rally behind him was even better.
Yeah, I think that you said something in there. There's two things you said. First of all, the thing you said was trust. Mm-hmm. You trust your coaches, your assistants. You hired them. Mm-hmm. So a big way to, you know, make them feel a part and feel ownership. And the whole thing is giving them, trusting that things will get done. And then certainly now, fast forward that to last Thursday, a couple of days ago, you trust your kids to be able to, hey, you know what? This is their team as much as it is our team. What do you want to do? And you drop the practice plan. Yeah,
and just like to have that ownership, I think is really awesome. And trust is such like a delicate thing right now with kids. Like I say to my kids all the time before the game, like, trust your skills. I always say, trust your skills. Like, you guys have done the work. If we fail or lose the game, that's not because we were not prepared, and it's not because we have not done the work. And throughout the game, I even mentioned this in episode 1, but I say next play probably 400 times a game, like just like getting them to move on. And I don't want players, when they make a mistake, to look over to me, because in my mind, that tells me that like they are thinking, they're going to get pulled. And obviously, there are going to be times where, like, if we're making the same mistake over and over and over again, you know, taking them out and having that conversation. But yeah, it's just like trust is such a very delicate thing, a coach-player relationship, and it's something I still want to continue to improve on. But yeah, I just give them that ownership, give them that leadership responsibilities, and you'd be surprised at what high school kids are capable of.
Well, I think that something that just popped into my head is trust is sometimes hard to learn, and it takes a while to learn. But you can also lose it very quickly. Another word I heard you that popped into my head, and in case somebody's taking notes, is you said an audit, beginning of the year or quarter of the way in, halfway, and you know, man, 3/4 of the way. Talk about what do you audit? You're looking at.
Yep. So I ask our coaches and I ask our players: are we playing the right guys the right amount of minutes? Are we doing the right things in games strategically? Are our practices making us better? What is our culture like? And then just any overall extra thoughts or feelings that they have. Like, I think that those are the really important things that keep moving the ship forward. And that I just loved hearing our guys say, like, our culture is really, really good right now. Like, there's not a single person on our team that is complaining if they're not playing. And that's so hard as a high school kid. And I talked to our kids about that. Like, right now we're playing 8 dudes. In the first couple of games where the score kind of got south a little bit, where we kind of started running away with the game a little bit, we started playing more guys. But like in those tighter games, we're playing 8 guys. And can our 9 through 14 still feel very valuable? Because they genuinely are. They're our scout team. They help us prepare with looks and things like that. And I always watch film on bench. Like, I'm always watching our bench, and I'll clip it in our clips, our film edits of like, our bench energy. Like, after a big play, we're all invested. And there's been times where I've had conversations with kids where, like, look at all of your teammates right now and look at you, and like, can we get you on board with what we're doing? So yeah, absolutely. It's that culture piece is a huge part of it.
Yeah. The tools you have now versus, you know, even 10 years ago, certainly 30 years ago when I started coaching, is you have huddle and you have the camera, and then you can also flip the camera on during practices and look at you. Look at this great play you did. Look at you, how you hung your head here in this particular moment, and then a transition to a basket in practice on the other end. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to go from the next thing to the next thing, and things happen quickly. You took your first loss against Lake Mills, and team and program that advanced to the state tournament last year, and again, the program is they've been very, very good under Coach Steve Hicklin. Tell us about that game.
That was a game where we have a mantra in our program of live like a champion, and I was in violation of rule number 3. So the first rule is always protect the team. Second rule is always compete. Third rule is no whining, no complaining, no excuses. And the fourth rule is respect everyone. And I became invested in referees. Ooh. It took away my attention from the game. And it just like, you just need to like move on. But Lake Mills is really good. That like Steve Hicklin is one of the best coaches in our state. He consistently has guys that can shoot the ball, see the floor really well. And their best player, Tyler Woline, who's a junior, had a triple-double. He had 15 points, 17 rebounds, 10 assists. It was just a dominant performance, and he just kind of took over the game. But like that's a ranked team in Division III that has their eyes set on a gold ball with really good players, and we were right in the game the entire time. It was we had the lead multiple times in the second half, and ended up losing by 7 at the end with like free throws and stuff like that, and having to foul. But yeah, it was back and forth the whole game, really competitive on the road, and our team learned a lot from that.
We've got a bit of a roller coaster, and I didn't realize this until I'm looking at my notes. So you started out with the 3 wins. You're kind of probably feeling pretty good about yourself. Go to Lake Mills and play a very good program, lose. And then game 5 of the season brought the then number 2 team in Division II, the Mount Horeb Vikings, to town. Coach Todd Nessheim and I, we went to Platteville, and we were both graduated with a physical education degree and took a ton of classes, and just have been very, just respect the job he's done over there. And, Division II state champions in 2015. Yep, 2015. Yep. And he's just done, he's got a program very similar to Lake Mills, is just year in and year out, very, very good.
Yeah, 100%. Of the last 10 years, like I would say, obviously them and Wanakee are like, in my opinion, the standard of the Badger. Like they've just been really solid every year.
And they got that little Cracker Jack box gymnasium that if you're not careful and you go in for you need to gear down when you lay it up and in. Otherwise you're going to end up in the wall.
Exactly.
Either end. But so Mount Horeb comes to town with a pretty, I think they were probably undefeated at that particular point. You guys would change that record. You guys pulled the upset in overtime, winning the game 82-80. Talk about that game as a team from the team standpoint.
Oh my gosh, it was just awesome. And again, that was, I don't think we win that game without playing Lake Mills first, like seeing like what really good basketball looks like, preparing us for that. But yeah, to bring them here, it was a great game, back and forth all game. We kind of pulled away a little bit there in the second half, and then we're going to probably talk about it, but Josh Manchester made really good plays over and over and over again. And to ultimately win that game in overtime, my favorite part was just seeing how excited our guys were, them like really truly believing that we can be a really good team. And then also like how excited our community was for that. Like I had so many text messages from alumni. Our guys got text messages from alumni that, they were really excited and congratulating us, and like that's what a program should be. So it was really cool to just see that excitement.
I like how you bring in alumni. There's some coaches, whether it's college or high school, that we've talked about this in the first part where we mentioned Tom Andrews and some of the coaches that were here before you. And I can just you talking about it now that you're plugged into what was here before you, and then probably what's going to be here after you is kind of a program and a school district, and you're just running with the baton from what the guys did before you. And that's so cool to hear that you had alumni reaching out and the kids did. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And just like, our varsity guys like understand the responsibility of like, they're in charge of this right now, but there's Sauk-Prairie basketball moves on without us. And so even just this morning, having our guys, we had our varsity kids working with 32 youth kids for an hour. Like I always tell them, and even when youth teams come to our practices, it's like the best thing you can do for our program right now is model like what being a really good teammate looks like, and practicing really hard. And so, yeah, they understand their responsibility.
One thing I do need to mention about that 82-80 win was the performance of Josh Manchester. I had a chance to see him last year. I had to see what the hullabaloo was all about this kid, and he's very good. But he scored.
Yeah, 58.
Hopefully the people that are driving to work right now are not going to, slide off the road or anything. But this kid scored 58 points in that game. I'm going to ask you two questions. What was that like to, just as a fan, put yourself in as a fan? You had a front row seat to it, and well, you got to stand too, but your front row seat to it, and then you got to watch it probably again on film. What was that like as a fan, basketball fan, to watch that? Special.
I mean, like after the game, our coaches, we didn't get the book right away, and I was like, gosh, he had to have had 40. And then it's so stupid. And then they come in and said he had 58. And I was like, what? In my opinion, the best performance on us since I've been coaching, like we played at DeForest a few years ago, Max Weisbrod senior year, and he had 10 3-pointers and had 40. Like that was incredible. That performance by Josh was just crazy. Like he just willed his team into a position to potentially win the game. So yeah, as a fan, like special, like I respect the heck out of how hard he works on his game. He's in the gym all the time. I talk to him about it, and it was pretty cool to watch. I was just now trying to go back to the memory banks here of the number of like 60-point games, and then Travis Tuttle, who is way before your time, actually might have been before you were even born, is a kid from Argyle who I saw him one night score the quietest 39 I think I've ever seen a kid, but then he also put up 71 in a high school game. So, and then there were a couple of other dudes that put up 60, and Josh Manchester's name is going to be up in that probably top 10, 15 of all time, and you had a front row seat for it. Now let's talk about the other aspect as a coach. That is fun. What was that like? Yeah, like, I was just texting a former player last night, and he's like, dude, can we talk about, you gave up 58. Like, why are you not doubling this guy? I send him a clip right away. I'm like, we're sending 2 guys at him. We're trying to trap him all the time. Leaving guys open underneath the basket. Like I looked at our assistant coach during the game. I was like, we're really just going to let this guy win the game by himself right now. And I was just so frustrating. It was like every time we'd get just grind for a 3-point lead, he'd come down and pull up from 25 and nothing but net. It was just, he's different, man. He's a different player than what I've ever seen. Like his ability to score, his ability to get to the free throw line. He shot 18 free throws, and I don't think a lot of them were like terrible calls. He just, he's different. I wonder how many people are going to be reaching out to you, say, hey, can you send me that? I want to see that. That's the thing too, is now with all the ability to be able to do that. Just give me your email address. I'll send it to you right now. And I might have to go back. Selfishly, I'm happy that our youth kids got to see that. Like, holy cow, that's what a really, really, really good player looks like. And not that our guys aren't. I mean, we had 2 guys on our team that had huge games too, 26 and 25 points that just made big time plays. But that's just a different breed there. It is. Well, congratulations, Josh, on that 58 points. I'm going to get a chance, hopefully you get a chance to watch that and see how special that was from a fan and a player standpoint, but maybe not so much a coaching standpoint. No. Because our listeners want to hear how the first month of the season has gone so far, I need to talk about our sponsor one more time, and then we got to talk about one of those, the highs and lows as well. Buck and Honeys has been with the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew since the beginning, with 4 locations in the Madison area. One is always near. People ask why Buck and Honeys. Owner Tom Anderson places a high priority on the mental health of his employees. He has a mental health professional available for them should they need support. I don't know how many businesses go above and beyond their EAP, Employee Assistance Program, but Buck and Honeys does. Head basketball coach Sean McGann is in the remote studios with us from Sauk-Prairie High School, actually in his classroom as well. The Survive and Thrive 8791 crew will be following Coach McGann throughout the 2025-26 season, and we will visit with him once a month as he goes through the season. As long as time will permit, we will be with him through the ups and downs of the season as he guides the Eagles through the Badger Conference Small Division. Please stay tuned. Don't change that channel. You're not going to want to miss segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. We will be back.
If you, a loved one, or someone you know is experiencing a physical, mental, or emotional crisis, there is help and resources out there. Contact NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, at 1-800-950-6264. This is a free service providing information, resource referrals, and support to people living with a mental illness, their family, providers, and the public. United Way 211 is available 24/7, 365 and offers free confidential assistance. They connect people with the local programs and services that can help. Dial 211. Emergency Crisis Services, dial 911. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, dial 988. To connect via web, chat, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Along with those numbers, there is help. You just need to say 3 words. I need help. Now, back to the show.
We are back. Welcome back to segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Tim Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the, actually, we're not on the east side anymore. We are west of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. We are in Prairie du Sac, Wisconsin. The podcast is where we feature guests who share their stories in hopes of helping others who may be struggling with what life throws at them. Today, I'm glad to be joined in the Buck and Honey's remote studios from Sauk-Prairie High School by a good friend of mine, Sauk-Prairie head boys basketball coach, Sean McGann. He's here to share how the season is going so far and how he plans to navigate his team through the season, and then maybe give some coaches that are currently coaching some pointers about how to handle the ups and downs, the anxiety, depression, and all of the emotions that go with a season. So you are entering your 7th season as a varsity head coach. As a former head coach, I know there are ups and downs of a season. Just about everyone handles the ups and downs the same way. We celebrate. We're happy for the players, coaches, and everyone involved with the program. Unfortunately, there are downs or low points during the season. Even when you win, sometimes you lose. And situations that can arise that can burst your bubble real quick. Let's talk about one of those situations. You're coming off an extreme high as a coach, as a program, as a community, as a school building. You beat Mount Horeb 82-80 in a spectacular game with a great individual performance by one of their kids, 2 individual performances by 2 of your kids. And then you travel to Monroe, and Monroe has been kind of a perennial power, so to speak, over the last probably 25, 30 years. Mm-hmm. And you would go down there, you're playing well, you're up, and then all of a sudden the tide switches and you guys took one on the chin down in Monroe.
Yeah, that was tough, and one that we're going to learn from for sure. I mean, we were up double digits 5 different times in the game. It just felt like every time we were pulling away, they'd go on a 7-0 run in like a minute. And it was a close game. Again, another overtime game. And the hard part about overtime games is it can feel like, depending on which situation you're in, like the momentum's usually with one team. And I always tell our guys at the start of every single overtime, it does not matter how we got here. We could have just hit a full court shot to go into overtime. The score is 0-0 and really try to refocus for these next few minutes. But it's just so hard, with the emotions of the game, you feel like we let one slip there. And then they kind of went on a little run to start overtime and ultimately we lost the game. But yeah, it was just a hard one to swallow. And, it's just one of those ones where you woke up the next morning, you're like, man, we really lost that one, and we had no business losing that one. So they're a really good program, and they played really well, and they deserved to win the game. But yeah, I just felt like we let one slip there.
All right, so let's talk about the initial. So you're coming off that huge win, and then you lose in overtime down at Monroe, and then you get in. You talk to the kids afterward. What was something that you talked about in the locker room, and then we'll go into the bus and then your ride home, and let's start there with the locker room right after the game.
So before the game, I always tell kids surrender the outcome, and what that means to me and our guys is that win or lose, let's leave here a better team, because ultimately that is the goal. We need to get better, and I felt like because we lost that game, we felt really, really down. And again, I told one of our players said, okay, we're going to practice really, really hard and get ready for Edgewood. And I'm like, okay, but we should practice hard all the time. I feel like that's getting us a little bit too attached to the outcome. Because they literally made a shot with 0.1 seconds. I mean, it left his hand with 0.1 seconds left to go into overtime. So it was like a really, really tough one. And for that, like, I feel like if that ball doesn't go in, then maybe we feel really good about ourselves, and now we kind of become complacent and things like that. So detaching from outcome, really focusing on process. But yeah, that was kind of my message to the team after the game. Like, we can't just feel bad because we lost the game. We did good things, we did bad things. We need to learn from it and just keep moving forward.
And then you get on the bus with the coaches, and you're coming back, and it's probably 45 minutes or an hour from Monroe, and that's some quiet time, and it's dark on the bus. What was the bus ride back like?
So, okay, this is a really interesting topic, because one of the things that my JV coach, Todd Brynick, who's like the most passionate person about Sauk-Prairie ever, I would say he's a little bit more like old school in his approach to coaching. Like, he mentioned something to me like, it doesn't sound like we lost the game. And I thought him and I had a really good conversation about that. Like, I think it's sometimes good for kids to like dwell on, okay, this didn't go the way we planned, but for that specific game, it was not an effort thing. Like, I thought our effort was really good. And so I'm okay with like kids moving on. Like, I say it all the time in the game, next play, like, we need to move on. And if their way of moving on is like, okay, we're going to hop on, our guys play a video game together on the bus, and bus rides are really important for team chemistry, and I love that they all ride it. But that was how they got over it. And I even had a conversation with our captain. He's like, that's just how this team moves on. It's not that they're not disappointed. It's not that they're not mad. I've never always really like subscribed to the idea that like we need to be really angry and frustrated for a long time and act like it's like life or death. Yes, it's frustrating. Let's move on. You guys can still have fun and be friends, because that's what this is. It's a fun basketball season. It's a long basketball season. And if you get too low during those low moments, I just think that can carry over into the next practice and next game, and it just kind of ruins the whole vibe.
I was just thinking about coping skills. Yeah. And kids, coaches, grown men cope differently with and how they handle losses and wins than the kids do. And yeah, maybe that's their coping skill. They get into their phones, and that's where they feel happy, and that's their go-to. And yeah, so then you get home and you make sure the kids got they're off and out of the building, and coaches are usually the last ones out, and then you've got that ride back to Baraboo, mm-hmm. about a 20-minute ride back to Baraboo. Talk about the ride as a coach.
I've learned to love the ride. It's 20 minutes for me to decongest. Whenever we play at home and my wife comes to the game, my wife will ride up with my parents because they also live in Baraboo, and then she'll ride back with me. And she always says, you get the car ride back to complain about it, and then after that we move on. And so, yeah, I've learned to like it. A tradition I always do is I always call my dad after every single game, win or loss. We talk through things. It's interesting hearing his perspective as someone who hasn't been in our gym at all and just sees the product of the game. But yeah, no, I just learned to decompress, and okay, when I get home, I'm home. A bad habit that I do have is like I like to watch the game afterwards, but like on away games, I'll a lot of times watch it on the bus. Yeah, that's just my tradition with bus ride and car rides home.
Did you feel better when you were able to sleep on it the next morning when you got up? Yeah,
again, it's one of those ones like in the nature of how we lost the game, you wake up and you're like, but that's tying it too much to outcome. If we would have won the game, I would have been feeling awesome. And so it's just a good kind of reminder to me of like, okay, we lost, we won, it doesn't matter. It's not going to change our approach to how we practice on Wednesday. Let's just continue to try to get better. But yeah, it's just so much easier said than done. Like you obviously know, like as a coach, there's some that you just like think about a little bit longer. And I would say that was probably one of those.
And then again, we're talking about some of these things because they are the behind the scenes look at what a coach has to handle, not only the games and practices, but rides home and when you got some alone time. And then you walk into the building the next day and come and, put the keys in the door and swipe the card and you're in the building. And then I'm sure you had to field some, questions of just other colleagues and coaches, hey, how you doing? What happened? I mean, all of those questions.
Weirdly enough, a lot of times it's from students. Like, I don't think they have like bad intentions when they ask the question, but like sometimes those comments of like, oh man, you guys lost, or like, how'd you lose that game? Like, those comments kind of like sting a little bit more even than the adult ones. Just because like you do want to make your students really proud, and like, gosh, the amount of congratulations that we got from students after the Mount Horeb game was awesome. So they really, I just feel like our student body is super hungry for like success, and they want to come support our guys, but obviously they want to see us win too. So there's like that pressure of like, okay, we need to provide a really good product on the floor for these people to come and cheer for. And, but yeah, then you got to go teach, and you got to go about your day and just business as usual. So.
Yeah, we talked about this before I hit record. We talked about Jared Stagey, and former player at Wanakee, and then went to UW La Crosse, and now he's into the coaching and mental health and approach to leadership and leading kids and whatever. But he talked about reframing some things, and let's reframe how when kids come up to you, and you said sometimes it stings a little bit. Let's reframe that a kid has enough trust in you and a connection with you as a teacher that he or she can come up and say that.
Yeah.
And if they didn't have a connection with you, they wouldn't ask, what happened last night?
That's a great point too.
And they might be asking that they truly care about Mr. McGann, Coach McGann, to ask why and how come. And yeah, I'm trying to practice that approach now to reframing situations, because I always look at, God, that stings, why are they asking me that? Are they concerned about the program or whatever? No, they're concerned maybe about you.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've never really thought of it that way, and that can be something that I can use going forward.
Yeah, they care about you. So let's talk about the next month of your season. Until the next time we visit, which will be somewhere in the middle to end of January, and we're in December right now, you have 6 to 7 games, starting with a trip back to where you had a stellar college career. As I'm looking at you right now, you cracked a huge smile, and I'm getting a little tingly for you, but you're going to get a chance to go back to the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point for the 54th annual Century Classic, hosted. Hopefully you'll get a chance to play in Quant Fieldhouse.
Yep, that's where we're playing.
Home of the Pointers.
Oh yeah,
I almost said Pioneers.
Yeah, come on now.
Home of the Pointers. The Century Classic is scheduled for December 27th, 28th, and 29th. The Sauk-Prairie Eagles will play Oshkosh West on the 28th and Spash, Stevens Point Area Senior High, on the 29th. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, like I just think I've always wanted to get into this event. Not only for like the nostalgia of like, oh man, like this is where I spent a large portion of my life here.
And they get to see your picture up on the wall.
They do get to see the picture on the wall, and I will make sure that they see that. But no, I'm mostly excited for, like, when I was in high school, we'd always do one overnight trip, and I just thought it was like the best. We had an awesome time. And so to have our guys be able to sleep over in a hotel, just kind of a different thing than what they're used to. I think that's even more important than the actual kind of the results of the games. Obviously, I want us to go there and compete and get better, but just to have them, they're going to be spending a lot of time in the pool. We're going to be going out and eating together, and I just think that those are some of the core memories that those guys are going to leave with.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about some of the teams real quick. You're playing Oshkosh West. What do you know about them?
Tough, man. I've seen them play. They played a really tough game against Appleton North, who is a really highly ranked team in Division I. Played them really tough. That area of the state has really good basketball. Oshkosh, Appleton, De Pere.
Fox Valley.
Yeah, man. It's just like, even just watching their film within the first minute, I was like, yep, their speed of the game is just a little bit different than what we're kind of used to. But no, we're excited. It's just a different team than what we've ever seen. We've never played these guys, and even Spash, we've never played them. And so I'm excited to just go there and see some different teams and hopefully learn from them and grow.
Get on the bus, and for some of your kids, that might be their first experience staying in a room and bunking in with a teammate or whatever, and it's kind of stuff that they're going to have to do when they go to college, if they go to college. But you're giving experiences to kids, and it's a good thing. After the winter break, you'll be back into conference play with a slate of Badger small conference games, and then you've got a non-conference in there against Dodgeville. Talk about your approach to the beginning of the second half of the season. And I don't know if you look at it that way, but it always seems like after the holiday break, it's the second half. And
it gets rolling, man, like 3 games a week at times. And so again, just like try not to get too high, try not to get too low with our kids. And one of the things that we talk to our guys about a lot is like separating yourself as a person and then on the basketball court. So I'll even reference the Monroe game. We have a senior captain who is maybe the smartest player I've ever played, coached, maybe the best shooter I've ever coached. And he was the one that he missed some free throws that, like, I would have bet a lot of money that the game was on ice at that point. And I could see he's a guy that really hides his emotions really well. I could see how frustrated he was, and just like having that conversation that, like, you are way more than just these free throws. That, like, we're not in the game if you don't have the game that you had. First of all, like, he carried us for a huge portion of the game, and just like moving on. And that's something that I've received feedback from on players that I've coached in the past, is that it's just really hard as a high school kid. Like, a lot of times we place value on how we are as a person based on our points per game or rebounds per game and stats. And so really trying to separate that stuff. And that'll be something that I think will help us towards that second half of the season, when you're going to have great games, you're going to have bad games, and then, everything in the middle, and just kind of just going with the ebbs and flows of the season.
Yeah, that's good stuff, because coaches wanting to know how you handle situations like, kid misses 2 free throws that normally is a 90% free throw shooter, and it does happen. But you can't really place everything on just those 2 moments. It's what about the other?
Exactly. The missed box out that we had 3 minutes ago, or there's so many things, and then those get magnified, and it's just really hard on kids. So speaking of team leaders and whatnot, who have your team leaders been up to this point? Man, we have two seniors that have been just having remarkable seasons. Bowden Breinig is a kid that shot up a few inches this summer. He put some weight on his frame, and he's just an awesome player. He can score at all different levels. He's a kid that wants to play college basketball, and just like trying our best to get him prepared for like the physicality of that, the emotional ebbs and flows of that type of situation. So he's been having a great season. And then Otis Andres has also, man, he's I mean, in that Mount Horeb game, you talk about Manchester had a game, like this kid had some big time shots where he just came down the floor and felt so confident that he's pulling from 26 feet and just burying it. So he's been having an awesome season. Lincoln Ganser, our other starting guard, was a kid that we brought up at the end of last year as a sophomore, and now he's in the starting lineup, and he just unlocks a new piece for us offensively. And so I would say those 3 are kind of been our most consistent guys, but then we have 5 other players that have been doing really good things as well. So it's been a good start to the season for those guys.
When I think of, when you just mentioned Otis Andres, that kid probably bleeds black and red. Because his dad played here. Yep. Grandpa was the coach during that 95 and 96 season, or 96, 97, where they were, just a couple baskets from winning back-to-back state championships.
He's grew up in this gym, and to see, it's cool. You talked about, you referenced Tom Andres earlier, like he comes to all the games. He's still very connected with me. He sends me text messages after games. Like, it's just really cool that like he's continuing to support me in the position of head coach, not only just because his grandson's on the team. He does it every year. So it's cool to see that. Yeah.
And he's a big historian too, and he's going to stay connected to the programs where he's been. So every year you add new players from last year's JV and JV2 rosters. And we talked about some of the pleasant surprises, but your program is more than just your varsity. How have the JV and JV2 team's been playing up to this point?
So I tell those guys at the beginning of every year, like, yes, I want them to be competitive, but I literally don't care what their record is. In fact, like at the beginning of the year when they do like the yearbook stuff, I always have to ask our JV and JV2 coaches, like, okay, what was your record last year? Because I have no idea. Our JV team has 5 freshmen that have been brought up and kind of forced into the fire. It's been really good for them, and I'm starting to finally see the game slowing down for them. So that's a really cool, like I can actually see that, oh, okay, they're starting to click. The JV2 team, it's perfect because those 5 guys are up, it's putting other guys in new roles. And, you know, they have the ball in their hands a lot more. They're in unfamiliar situations. And so they're just learning on the fly. Coach Pat Hotman is running our JV2 team, who you have good connection with from Wanakee football. And then Todd Breining has been coaching our JV team for a long time. And so those guys both do a really good job of, like, I'm only really as good as the players that I get. Like, I know the varsity team always gets, you know, the coach gets the credit for the things, but like without those guys, without really good youth coaches, I don't really have much of a shot. So I've been lucky to have really good people in those positions to help us out.
I do have to ask a question, because this is more of an old school one, and maybe still there are coaches out there that still do this, but do you see anybody, sometimes after the holiday break, do you see anybody making that leap of they've been playing so well on the JV team that potentially could make that leap to the varsity?
So yeah, I'm always thinking about that. Like, as much as I say like I focus on the present moment, as a head coach, I also have to be thinking about the future too. So like, I kind of subscribe to the idea of, like, I'm not bringing up an underclassman on the varsity team unless I see them actually in the rotation. So is there a kid on our JV team who could make our varsity team? Absolutely. But are they in that top 8 where they're actually, you know, getting on the floor and getting minutes? At this point, not right now. But I tell you what, there's a kid on our JV team who's a top 3, like, fiercest competitor that I've ever coached. He's going to be a really good player for us, and he's also a heck of a baseball player. So, yeah, we have kids that are playing multiple sports, and kids I'm really excited about. I would say he's a kid that, like, I could see, man, he's going to make an impact for us here pretty shortly.
There's some coaches that will subscribe to the we're going to bring up a young kid, and he's going to practice with us, and he may not play at all in the varsity games, but he's going to be with us all the time and learning our stuff. And then there's those coaches that subscribe that, yeah, this kid could probably get some minutes on the varsity, but he's better getting the top-notch minutes down on the JV and being the guy.
Yep.
Sounds like you subscribe to the second part.
Well, and we have had kids that we bring up, and like, we have no intention of actually playing them on the varsity team, just to make them, you know, familiar with how I coach. They're going to spend 3 or 4 years in our gym and just getting against better competition. So we have done that, but for this year, with this team and this dynamic right now, I think we're good with where we're at.
All right, that's kind of a peek into Coach McGann's first part of his season and some of the highs and lows. This is where the subscribers, followers, and listeners take out the notebooks, pens, and pencils and jot some things down. Here, Coach Sean McGann's 5 suggestions that are allowing him to survive and thrive the 2025-26 season so far, right? And we're right before the winter. Actually, we are in the winter break, but here's what you shared. And I just did a copy and paste, but sometimes things evolve and change, but I think you've got some core values, and they may not change immediately, but over time, possibly. So here's what you shared, and we'll see if these are still in the same spot as they were before. Number 1, stop placing your value as a person into your record. And I'm going to toss these in softball style on your hand. Go ahead and hit that. 60 seconds.
Still something I struggle with a little bit. Even just after losing the Monroe game, like, I woke up, I'm like, we could be 5-1, and like, just like, okay, get away from that. Like, it's fine. You know, it is what it is. It happened. Nothing we can do about it. We move on. But yeah, easier said than done.
Number 2, be around people who challenge you and make you better. Go ahead, hit that.
Still have a lot of coaches that I can contact with. We mentioned Chris Siebert in episode 1. We talk all the time, probably too much. Him going through his season and me going through mine. I love that I have someone that I can bounce ideas off of, but my staff also, like, tells me the truth, regardless of how it'll make me feel. And my players are getting to that point too, which I really, really value.
And I think we go back to that trust, because that popped in there when your coaches are giving you the straight talk of, you know, Here's my thoughts and opinions. You have to trust those guys that they're saying these things because they care about the program and they care about you, and that is clutch.
Yeah.
Number 3, have someone you can talk to when things are not going well. And you mentioned your dad right away as you're driving home, but then you've mentioned Coach Siebert.
Yep.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, even just having like my wife is a super mom at home right now. Like she's holding down the fort a lot of times when I'm gone, but still like she watches every game, and it's actually kind of been cool to see how much more knowledgeable about the game she's become. Like she's noticing things that, a few years ago she didn't even know what it was. So talking to her about things has been really helpful. But then she's also a really good reminder to me, like, okay, it happened. Let's talk about something else. Right. So that's been good too.
And maybe you can get her by year 10 or 11. Hey, can you pull up, can you break down those clips on defense? In
she
the
would too.
Half?
She would.
Pull those clips out. Yeah. Number 4, separate yourself from basketball when you're home. Be present.
It's what I'm most looking forward to right now with this winter break. Again, I gave the longest break that we've ever had to our guys right now, especially for our lower levels. So yeah, I'm just really excited to just be home. Honestly, try to not think about basketball at all. Like really enjoy time with my son and my wife, and so I'm just really looking forward to that.
I think some people might say unplug. You're going to unplug the huddle. You're going to unplug from coaching.
Yep.
Good stuff. And number 5, and actually we just talked about this a little bit. Reframe things. What went well?
Yeah, and you mentioned like even the after the game stuff with comments. I think that's something that I can definitely use in my toolbox. But again, I kind of think about it with our team. It's stuff we talk about at halftime. What do you think we did well? What are things we need to improve? And even after the game, in wins and losses, because it can be both. Just reframing and try to be as positive as possible.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. What an episode. I'm so glad you could take the time out of your busy teaching and coaching schedule to join the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew today. Your approach and how you plan to manage the season will be fun and has been fun to watch. I was so happy when I saw that. And I think I sent you a text message a couple days later or whatever. Yeah. And then I said, how the heck did you give up 58?
We're still trying to figure out.
Yeah. Your approach to the upcoming season reminds us all to have coping skills or mental health tools in the toolbox when a coach is met with the season's challenges and ups and downs. You have set yourself and your team up for success so that you and your players can survive and thrive this season. Coach McGann will be with us once a month throughout the season as a part of a 5-part series. So fingers crossed. We hope to end the season sometime after that fourth week in March with a gold ball and the trophy case. And I don't know if that's...
And the subscribers just go through the roof.
And the subscribers go through the roof. And we get book deals and we get podcast deals and...
No pressure.
No pressure at all. So I'm looking forward to it. Our call to action, head coach Sean McGann just shared how his 2025-26 season has been going so far and how he plans to survive and thrive through a varsity boys basketball season. Here are head coach Sean McGann's 5 suggestions to survive and thrive. Number 1, stop placing your value as a person into your record. Number 2, be around people who challenge and make you better. 3, have someone you can talk to when things are not going well. Number 4, separate yourself from basketball. And number 5, reframe things. Ask those questions of what went well and why are people asking you things, and I think it's because they care. Mm-hmm. Final thoughts as we close another great episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. Are there any final thoughts, Coach McGann?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, like, when I shared kind of our first episode, so often around mental health, the conversation is like, we don't ever talk about these things. And I'm just like, really, it's cool. It's an honor to do this with you, and really like proud of your work that like you are bringing mental health to the forefront in a really unique way through like a sports lens, which is something that I can talk about forever. So I just think it's really cool. I really hope that we're helping people and kind of giving an insight into what high school basketball coaches kind of go through the ups and downs of the season, and also their athletes that they work with as well. So appreciate the work that you do with this.
Yeah, I was just thinking something that just, clicked in as well as maybe the WBCA is looking to improve, and that's Wisconsin Basketball Coaches Association is looking to improve the mental health of the basketball coaches in the state of Wisconsin, and they understand what a coach has to go through mentally, emotionally, physically, all of those gamuts, and if coaches don't have mental health tools in their toolbox, you see coaches stepping down in the middle of the season. You see coaches, or you hear about coaches resorting to substances and such, and there's probably other things that we're not even talking about right now, but you and maybe the WBCA says, hey, all new coaches should listen to this 5-part series, especially for a new coach that Sean McGann, they were the 2026 Division II state champions. But
then we'd get a lot of people.
Yes, but here's a successful young coach who did things a certain way in year 1, 2, and 3, and then they evolved into year 7 is different, and trust and those things. But I think this could be a good thing where we put something out there, and we're doing it right now.
Yeah.
To talk about more than just the wins and losses, but how do you handle those things? So I appreciate this. On our next episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, we will have another amazing guest in the Buck and Honey's remote studios who will share how they learn to survive and thrive. If you have a story to share, or you know someone who does, please reach out to me at tdecora@gmail.com. Until next time, hang in there with whatever you happen to be going through, and with hard work, dedication, and determination, you can survive and thrive. Until next time, take care.